Okay, we will go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. Thanks for hopping on and joining me today. My name is Elizabeth Sullivan. If I haven't had the chance to meet you guys, I am in the marketing and communication team within Student Affairs. So I'm excited to walk you through the new Event Hub from both the event management perspective and the user perspective, and then get into any questions that may come up. Before I get started, I just want to say we have or introduce Louis Kaskowitz. He's on the call today. He is with the RASA team and has done an incredible job in making this Event Hub a reality. And so he will be on the call if any technical questions come up. And Louis, as you know, please hop in if you have anything you'd like to add as we move forward. That being said, I'll go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to start with just showing you guys an overview of the Event Hub, how it's going to look public facing to our students, what website it's going to live on, and then we'll dive into essay tools and how to actually manage your event postings. Okay, so hopefully you guys can share my screen, and I am recording today to help use this overview as a training resource moving forward. So this website is the WashU Students website, and you'll see on this top main navigation page that we have the Event Hub. So you'll click on that, and then this is where our Event Hub lives. So you'll notice that at the top here, we have a feedback form. So this is a beta version right now. We're planning on having a hard launch of the site on August 3rd. But right now, we're using it to really take the time to input events, see any bugs or glitches that come up, and make sure we're collecting feedback from the team on ways that we can continue to improve and cater towards your events. So as you work through the Event Hub, as you input events, and as you flip through the Event Hub, feel free to always revisit this feedback form and let us know how we can improve. So moving forward, you'll see that we have this featured events section. These are going to be decided by the Student Affairs leadership team, and really what they are is three given events at any time. These are going to be the high visibility events, typically the ones that impact the largest amount of students. And so these will pre-populate on the page. Like I said, decided on by the student leadership team or by our student affairs leadership team. Okay, moving right along, you'll see the first thing I want to show you guys is that you'll see this login button. And so we'll get into the logistics of this through the actual input side, but there is an option to make your events private to just Woostle Key users. What that means is that some of the information for the event postings will be hidden to people who aren't logged into their Woostle Key. So right now I'm not logged in, and so you'll see that some of these events I can't see the details on, and that it'll prompt me to log in. But you'll see some of the events I can. And so a lot of the athletics events and those community-facing events will be visible to everyone, whether or not you're logged into your Woostle Key. Um, and then orientation events too will be visible to everyone to make sure that parents and family are able to see the details. And you'll have the option of whether or not you would like to mark your event as public or private while you're inputting the event. So I'm gonna go ahead and log in right now just for the sake of the demonstration. And then you'll see some of these specific event details will pop up. So any events that are already on the site, maybe you've already submitted some events, but we have also integrated with Sidearm for athletics, Handshake for career. What else am I missing? I think that might be it.
Mugo, Mugo.
Lugo for student groups. So a lot of these events are getting pulled in from those different sites. And really, the goal of this calendar as a whole, as the Event Hub as a whole, is to make for both faculty and staff and our students a one-stop shop. And so what that looks like for our students is one source of truth among all the noise of the events and programming within the division, one place that they can go and reference. What that looks like for staff is that you will only be updating your information from one place in one place. And so if there's a change in date, time, location, it's just going to be this one place that's going to be tapping into all those other places that it's posted. And we'll get into the specifics. But um, this Event Hub is working with a couple different sites to make sure that it's pulling all the information into one place right here. So we'll go through it. On the top bar over here, we have some navigation features and filters. You can search an event by name. You can search by date, department. It's important to note that these departments, all of these filters are aggregate of what's already in the Event Hub. And so let's say if the marketing and communication team hasn't input an event, you're not going to see that department. That doesn't mean it's not an option when you go ahead and build your event. You're just not able to see it because it doesn't have data to pull from. So these are all departments that already have an event in. So if we click on athletics, you'll see it's just the athletics events. Moving along, we have categories. These are like event descriptors that are going to help students discover more events. I know a really popular one is free food. So you can click on that and see all of the different events they can attend with free food. And then we have this category guide to help our students who are searching events figure out what's the best categories for them. And then our staff who are looking to upload events figure out how to best tag their events. And these categories were decided by student advisory boards in the feedback of students and staff. We have our audience selection. So these are the different audiences that an event may be targeted towards. You can see, we'll have a different set of events for undergraduate students versus alumni. And then moving right along, we have student groups and recreation classes. So like I just mentioned, we are pulling both of those events from a different website or a different data source. And as you guys all know, there's a lot of student groups and there's a lot of recreation classes. The reason we have these two toggles is to make it a little bit cleaner if people are looking to filter that out, just to make sure we're not completely flooding the feed. And so you can see when you toggle that off, the feed will look a bit different. So you can kind of play around with those filters. You can favorite events and show your favorites. There's a couple different views you can use. This is the list view, or you can have that grid view of events, and then just another way to sort those events. Sort by date, name, department. And then a really cool feature is that you can save events and you can run a report of events. So students, let's say they would like a weekly report of every event in the division that gives free food. Well, they can do that through this event hub, and then they can sync their Outlook calendar and start uploading some of those events to their Outlook calendar. And then I will go ahead and click into one of these events. This is just an example of what that will look like. Here you'll have that add or share where you can sync, you can copy a URL. So let's say, ooh, I hope you guys can't hear that thunder. You can copy the event link and they can send it directly to another student, one of their peers, and say, "Hey, I'm going to this event if you'd like to come," or share that event. And then the favorite button, of course, you'll see these two tags, a description, a time, a map, the audience, and then a contact and more information. So that is a high level of how it's looking. Are there any questions so far? And at any point, feel free to jump in with questions. So the really cool thing about this site is that it will be integrated and embedded onto the different department sites. So any departments that had an upcoming events section on their website, you will see some sort of event hub on your site that's pulling just your department sites. I've gone ahead and reached out to all the departments that have this embed in their site. So I'll just use the CDI as an example. So when you go to their website, programs and events, you'll see they have this event hub where it's pulling just any of the CDI. So OISE, Spectrum, all of those different departments, it's pulling those events. So that's how it looks from a student perspective. But let's go ahead and dive into how you guys can manage your events on the back end. So the first thing you're going to do is log into your essay tools. Hopefully you guys are all familiar with this and you'll see this screen. Go ahead and ignore this bottom Event Hub Manager. That's something that my team uses for more of the back end side of things. what you're going to click through is the event manager and attendance tracker on the top here. So when you click through these, hopefully this is a familiar screen for you guys if you're using attendance tracker already. You'll see the events that you have input or events that have been shared with you and you have editing access to. So when you go ahead and create a new event, you're going to press add new event and event attendance tracking. So as you're working through SA tools, it's important to remember that this is more of the event management package as a whole. So you're going to want to use both the attendance tracking and Event Hub tabs. This is important for a couple reasons, but primarily our Rasa team is working really hard to collect data and make informed strategy recommendations and collect the data on the programming and events happening within our division. So we want to make sure that we're inputting all of our events through attendance tracker because attendance tracker, it's not just counting the amount of heads that walk in the door. It's collecting the information from the programming as a whole to help inform our data lake. So that being said, you're gonna have both tabs up here and you're gonna need to fill both of them out in both of all of the required boxes. So we'll start with this event and attendance tracking. This is going to be internally. This is more of the attendance tracker if you're familiar with it. So I'm just going to fill this out with broad terms. And you'll see, you'll just select the relevant information that corresponds with your event. So let's say our event is, ooh, okay, so then you plug in your date and time. This feature right here, this repeating event, this is going to be really helpful for those events that repeat. An example of this will be Wellbeing Wednesday. Well, we know we have Wellbeing Wednesday every Wednesday from 11 to 2 that you don't need to input 8 different events throughout the semester. You can just toggle this feature on, and then you'll go through and fill out, the cadence of the event, the start date, the end date, and then you do have an option to override any specific event that, let's say, you're skipping the event over spring break. You have that option and capability to maneuver your events through reoccurring events. For the sake of the demo, I'm not going to make this a reoccurring event, but you do have that option as you're filling out your programming.
Elizabeth, real quick, we had a question about department dropdown.
Yeah.
John asked if those will those populate once they start adding events to it, their department names? Okay, great.
Yep. So your department name is going to populate based off the department that you're coded under. So right now you'll see I have this marketing strategy and communications that pre-populates, but you do have the option to change, edit, and add the department that you're entering an event for. So if I'm entering an event for stay, there's no events under marketing, communication, and strategy. So I'm going to go ahead and change that department. And then you'll have the option to share that event on the back end with that other team. So let's say entering event for stay, I can give stay access to edit that event by sharing departments or sharing with specific staff. So you can type in, we'll use you, Jennifer, as an example, type people in. And then it's also important to note that as you go through, you have the option to edit this event at any point, whether it's an hour later or 2 weeks later. This is all amendable as your event changes.
Elizabeth, can I jump in real
Yep.
quick? Comment about departments. So right now there are some discrepancies between the list of departments on the attendance tracker tab, the tab that you're on right now, and the event hub tab. And that's kind of just because of historical setup in SA Tools, the way that we were populating user departments directly from HR. We're in the process of migrating that to a kind of a self-managed system where we can properly recognize all of the student affairs departments. So the Event Hub tab already does that, but we're right now in the process of migrating the other side, the attendance tracker event manager tab, the one that you're on right now, so that all those departments will appear exactly the same on both tabs. And we'll have that done within the next couple weeks.
Great, thank you, Lewis. And that brings up a good point. You'll want to make sure that you're selecting a department versus free typing. I mean, you can start and get it, get it going, but this is all interconnected and we'll start tagging other things within essay tools. So if you make a simple mistake like leaving the S off of a department, that's going to impact a lot of different things within your event. So make sure that, with some of these selections, you're selecting versus just free typing.
Elizabeth, we are actually requiring selection.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So
Great. Okay, never mind
if
then.
you don't see, if there's an event that is for a department that is just not represented at all in the current list, let us know and we'll add those departments as necessary.
Great. Okay, and then here's some information with attendance trackers. So go ahead and fill this out if you're looking to track your attendance through your event. And then the student affairs anchors and the tags. Lewis, feel free to jump in here. My understanding is that it's important to go ahead and fill all this information out because this does help with the data collection for our RASA team. So, if you check healthy excellence, if your event pertains to healthy excellence, they're then able to pull that tag and collect the data for all events that pertain to healthy excellence. Okie doke. And then once you've filled out all the required and other sections on this event and attendance tracking tab, you're going to switch over to your event hub. So you'll see on the top here, and it's important to note anything on this event hub is going to be public facing. This is essentially like filling out that event listing I showed earlier. So this is going to what students and staff are going to see when they're on the website. So you'll want to make sure to be descriptive and give plenty of information. For the sake of this demo, I am not going to do so, but you'll type in your description, the event label, that name is going to carry over, nothing else will. But I mean, feel free to toggle back and forth and copy and paste as needed. This more info link. So like I mentioned earlier, the goal of the Event Hub is to kind of be a one-stop shop and to streamline where we're adding information so we don't have 5 different websites with different pieces of information. And as we change, we forget to update the timing on this website, and then we're creating confusion. So for a lot of these one-time programming and events, you're not going to use this feature. I'll revert back to Wellbeing Wednesday as an example. They have a whole dedicated web page that has their contest rules and policies and those types of things. That's an example of when they're gonna want to use this feature. But something like, a meet the dean for orientation, you're probably not gonna want to have a standing post or landing page. Once again, you'll have this organizing departments. You can change, drop down, and then the partnering department. So from a user experience, it's not going to be different. You'll still be able to sort with these departments. So again, to use student transitions as an example, if I was filtering on the Event Hub and I selected student transitions, whether or not they're the organizing or partnering department, they're still going to populate. But that being said, it's important to tag the different departments that you're collaborating on with events. So you can tag as many as you'd like here. And, you know, just keep tagging for any applicable departments that you're partnering with on an event. You have your event contact. This is going to be public, so do with that as you will, whether that's your WashU email or maybe your department has a specific email. But this is going to be that kind of contact for more information or questions about the event on the event posting. The visibility feature, this is what I was talking about at the very beginning. So this is when you can decide if you want your event to be Woo only. As a reminder, this is displaying certain pieces of information, whether or not you're logged in to your WooStole key. So things that are open to the general public, a great example, the tennis match for athletics. We want everyone to be able to see where that is, but things like, a residential life meeting or something, we probably want to restrict access to those specific details that it will still pop up on the Event Hub. But as you can remember, you have to log in to view more information. So you can toggle that back and forth based on your preferences. One note is we're gonna leave any event within orientation. We're gonna leave that off of Woo only, so we can make sure that our parents and um, anyone in that orientation crew can see it, whether or not they have a Woo key.
Elizabeth, we actually have a question
Yep.
pertaining to this in chat. The question is about the non-WashU sign-in. Bree says, it seems that folks have to have a Microsoft account in order to sign in. Is that going to change, or is that only way we can count non-WashU folks going forward?
Um, when you say count, do you mean like being able to view the event specifics?
Specifically for attendance tracking. Sorry, Bree, do you can you hop in and
Yeah,
maybe clarify
we've
the question?
sure when we've set up for like visitor tracking in the system, when I have the QR code generated at the event, when I try to get non-WashU folks to scan in so we have an accurate attendance count, they have to have a Microsoft account, otherwise they can't be tracked, which sort of defeats the purpose if that's the only limitation. So I'm just curious if that's changing or if that's the way it's going to be.
Okay, thank you, Bree. Um, Lewis, do we know if that's changing, or is that something maybe we should take offline and consider moving forward?
I think this is probably something, Elizabeth,
Yeah.
that we should table for today.
Yep.
I'm
Bree,
not sure.
thank you for that feedback. That's a perfect example of we don't know what we don't know. So we will look into solutions to make sure that you're able to use attendance tracker for people outside of the Outlook ecosystem. Um, okay, and we'll just go ahead and move along. So after this visibility feature, we have request Dr. G's presence. So as in line with kind of streamlining this event hub, we are trying to streamline the requests for Dr. G, whether or not you'd like her to be at the event, your event, and in what capacity. So if you'd like her at your event, you can go ahead and toggle that on, and you'll see a series of additional questions. Would you like Dr. G to speak at your event? And then you'll provide some additional information on speaking remarks and along the lines of, speaking time, talking points, attire, etc. So for this demonstration, I'll go ahead and toggle that off. And then the location. So you'll see this search bar. So as it says, this is in sync with Google Maps. So it's pulling the data that Google Maps has. So you'll want to use this because it'll populate an address, but you'll also want to make sure that you're giving it an extra set of eyes because as we all know, I'm sure Google Maps sometimes has its faults. So I'm going to use the duck as an example, the Danforth University Center. I'm going to select it. But then you have the option to go on this top bar and change or make the information more specific. So let's say I'm meeting in room 241. I can go ahead and add that, but still keep this address. And I can show the map. It'll pull a map of exactly where the duck is. And then you have the option to make it an online event as well. Okay, and then next is our categories. So you'll see some descriptions for those categories that may need a description, but you are going to want to tag all of the categories that touch your event. This is really going to help make sure that our students are getting the full picture of campus life and finding events that they wouldn't have found otherwise. And so if they're looking for arts and crafts events, they're able to select that filter and see really the full spectrum of events. So you'll go ahead and select your events and um, make sure that that's a comprehensive list of categories. And then your audience, this is again going to help with that user experience, the filtered view. So just tagging any applicable groups to your event. If you're just doing, if Res Life is doing an event just for undergraduate students, they're only going to tag undergraduate students. But if the rec is putting on, a night at the rec for everyone in the community included, you're going to want to tag some more of these audiences. So Here is the what we like to call feeds, really their website embeds. You'll see that they're gonna pre-populate based off some of your selections that you make. So these are gonna be triggered, which is why it's important to really pay attention to what you're uploading because it'll trigger where your event goes. And so as an example, you'll see that I left student transitions and engagement. I left that on my partnering departments, which means then it's going to be pulled to the student transitions and engagement website. Another example is if I tag OISE here, it is then going to be pulled to OISE. And this is a good example because some of your departments have a little bit more complex events, something like this Chat GTP. That's a reoccurring weekly event. So we've gone ahead and created tabs. And this is based off what your website structure already looked like. So we've gone ahead and accommodated for the current ecosystem of your website and made sure we migrated that over to the new Event Hub. But as you start inputting events and as you start planning for the fall, and if you notice that the Event Hub isn't accommodating for some of your needs for a department, please reach back out to me and we can troubleshoot and workshop how to best meet your needs.
Uh, El-
So,
Elizabeth, this is a
yep.
perfect opportunity to maybe address Missy's question in the chat. Specific events for certain students like MLOA, returning students. You want to take that one?
Yes.
So medical leave of absence, sorry,
Yep.
ML.
Yep. That's a great question.
So this might be an
So
instance where something additional has to be added or
yeah, it might be another thing to consider, and this probably is something that we'll take offline, and will be plenty of examples of
Mhm.
how, events present new opportunities to reconfigure the event hub. Something to consider is it might not always, we might not always want to put every event on the event hub as it comes up. Um, I would probably want to get with WashU Cares and confirm how we can best use the event hub to accommodate their students, specifically MLOA students. And, maybe if there might be a need to add that audience. There also might be an opportunity to add a tag on their website. So for the sake of this demonstration, let's go ahead and table that. But um, we will
have
be
that on
sure
there.
to write these down and revisit some of this. These are great questions.
Yeah, and that actually goes into the other Bree's question about, and Bree Hardy, please feel free to clarify, active events or passive events. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So, for example, in the fall, there's National Hazing Prevention Week. And
Mhm.
so we might have like an event or two during that week that maybe we would not put on this, but we also want to call attention like that whole week is National Hazing Prevention Week. So I didn't know if like that, for example, would be something that we'd want to put on there or just like active events when like there's like we're physically present for something.
So this event hub is going to be best used for active, physically present, or online events. What we can do is find a way to highlight hazing prevention or specific weeks on your department websites. And that's something we can work with the specific departments. So the Event Hub, we can pull these little, as you saw, we can embed different filters and different views. So maybe we want to look at doing a post on your website about hazing prevention. And then let's say you have two of those events that correspond with that week that are active events. We can pull those and kind of link them on the website. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Eli- Elizabeth, while we're at it, sorry,
Yep. Yep. Thank
we've
you.
got one more regarding the Dr. G request. How will that be communicated if she's available and can confirm her attendance?
Great question. So, Dr. G's staff and the people who work with her schedule, they are getting reports and notifications every time you tag that. So that's a great thing to go back to. So, oh, okay. Sorry about that. So, okay, sorry about that. Just give me one second. Okie doke. So think of this as more of like that initial request. This isn't a commitment, but what will happen is that request will then be booted to Dr. G's staff and they will reach out to you directly. So really, this is like that initial request where they can have all of the information they need to reach back out to you and say, hey, I wanted to confirm Dr. G will be there, or she is not able to make it, or we'd like more information. Hopefully that answers the question as I need to
Yep, I
go
think
through.
so.
Great. Okay. I'm going to go through and pre-populate some of this just for the sake of this demo. Okie doke. Okay, so we talked about how these auto-approved feeds, the term feeds really just insinuates what website this event will be embedded to. And so most of the events will go through the main event hub, and then we also are going to pull some of those events and add them to your website. How I showed the CDI website, it's pulling all of those department events onto their website. I'm going to unselect health and well-being for the sake of this demonstration. You'll see that this is a requires approval for the main event hub. So once you submit an event on the main event hub, it's going to be booted to my team where we'll read through it and give you a check to make sure it can be integrated onto the main event hub. Just to be clear, this is not any sort of dictating your programming or events or event specific information. This is just so our team can have oversight in making sure that the events are uploaded correctly so the integrations go off without a hitch. So all we're going to do is read through, make sure you tag the right things, make sure it's streamlining to the correct event pages, especially as this process is new. There are going to be hitches that come up. So just an extra set of eyes to help make sure we're helping you guys. And then we have committed to getting you that approval within 2 business days. So if you submit that event by Wednesday, you'll have some sort of response back on Friday. And if for some reason we reject your event, which is a scary word, but it's just pressing that X, and we will shoot you a note back as to why. Normally, it'll just be an error uploading the event. So again, it's not any sort of management with your programming logistics. It's just more of that input side of things. Um, any questions about that feed? Great. Okay. So then this event image. So if you remember from that user side of things, you're able to view the events in a grid or a list. The grid comes with that pretty little image, and really that's just a way to help visually increase the display of our event hub. So you have the option to upload an image with your event. If not, it will use a templated image, and these templates are triggered by some of these categories. So you'll see this pretty little yellow and green image. That's because I checked WashU Campus Traditions, where it will change depending on what you check, as an example. And then you'll see we give you guys the recommended pixels, the quality image. You've got a sample here and the ratio aspect, just to make sure that it's fitting this box nice and neat. The one thing I'd like to draw our attention to is we want to avoid doing like an event flyer with information or description. This is really just supposed to increase the visual aesthetic of the event. It's not a way to provide like a date and time. And we don't want to clog up the feed with all that scary information. So maybe just an image or like a visual graphic, or, feel free to use one of these templates that will auto-populate. Okay. So if there are no questions, I'm going to go ahead and submit this event just to give you an example. So I'm going to save the event. Okay, and then you'll see Here's my event right here. Because I was the one who input it, I won't need to go through that approve process. But when you guys upload your event, it'll get pinged over to my team and you'll get a notification when we go ahead and approve it. And then when it's approved, you'll be able to see it on the website. So if you don't see it right away, that is a-okay. You'll see it within 2 business days. This is just an example of you can go through and edit your event. Some of these pieces of information, unfortunately, you'll have to go back through the approval process, but go ahead. Um, okay. So some of these pieces of information, if you change a good chunk of it, you might need to go back through the approval process. But we are committed to trying to get as quick of a turnaround time. And if you ever are in a bind or a pickle and need a quick approval, feel free to Teams me and we can work together on making sure. We don't want to hold you guys up. But go ahead and try to plan for that 2 business days. A lot of time we are much quicker, but sometimes it can stack up at the beginning of the semester, I'm sure. So we will get that approved within 2 business days. But again, you can go through and edit any of these tabs right here. And then I will give you, and then you have your just attendance tracker information, and we will revisit that in and out of Outlook for this QR code. And then I will go ahead and give you an example of what day did I put this as? Okay, so August 15th. So I will give you an example of how this populates on August 15th. Here we go. So there's the event that I just input live on the website. And then because I also tagged student transitions and engagement, I can go on to their site and I'll just show you guys again as an example of how this is populating. So here's my event on their site too. Okay, and that is a brief high-level overview. Of course, different departments have nuances, and so I am happy to take questions now. I'm also happy to meet with your specific department and input an event or two and share my screen and walk through it with you guys. And like we have discovered today and more to come, there will be things that come up that we are going to have to tweak the Event Hub to make sure we're meeting your needs. So feel free to loop me in at any point. Bree, it seems like you have a question.
I've got a couple questions.
Yep.
So Elizabeth, you mentioned a couple times Wellbeing Wednesdays. So is that something that every department that's participating in that week should submit something? Or is that going to be, hey, Danny's going to submit this on behalf of all offices or departments that are participating? I just didn't know. Yeah.
Yep, great question. So we will only want one department to submit an event. So if, from a general sense, if you're collaborating with the different departments, you'll need to internally figure out who is going to submit that event. We only want one posting, which is why we have that feature for partnering departments. And that's another reason why we're going to have that approval process to make sure that we're only having one posting for events. For Wellbeing Wednesday specifically, I don't want to speak on who is going to submit the event, whether it's Danny or not.
Sure.
But I've already submitted them for the fall. But what we do need to do is explore ways that we're tagging each department for each week because I know, like, conduct might only participate in 3 or 4 of them.
Right.
Right. So something like Wellbeing Wednesday or those larger, like the resource fair for orientation, all of that stuff is already submitted. If you're ever unsure, feel free to either reference the Event Hub or message me directly.
Okay. With that, thank you, Elizabeth. With that, we can still put events on our own website. So if we're participating in Wellbeing Wednesday, oh, I'm seeing Jennifer say no, maybe. So is that something that we're all also submitting to our website, or no, that's completely going away?
That is completely going away.
Okay.
So the goal of the Event Hub is to make sure that we are not submitting different events and programming in multiple different places to help streamline that and avoid any errors or confusion. What we can do is work with the different departments to make sure that we are pulling the appropriate events to their website. So you will still have the capability. Conduct might look a little different, so we can speak offline about that.
Sure.
But what you will have the capability to do is have an upcoming events section on your website, and someone like Jacob might want Wellbeing Wednesday on his calendar, and we can absolutely accommodate for that.
Mhm. Okay. My last question is for Lewis. Is Lewis back on? Oh, I see.
I'm here. I'm here.
All right. Hey, Lewis. So I don't know if you're going to be able to answer this, but you're representing the RASA team, so hopefully you will. So I know that our department specifically was working with Chuan, and we were updating kind of an Excel file in Box to show like how many people were in attendance to each event. Is that still happening, or are we kind of using this, event website, in place of?
Yes. So the RASA team will be meeting with all student affairs departments over the summer to kind of review this plan. But generally speaking, we're trying to move everybody to put all of their programming into the event manager in SA Tools. And reiterating what we talked about earlier, not all of those events will go onto the Event Hub. So today we're kind of focused on getting stuff onto Event Hub. But separate from that, we're trying to get everybody to put everything through Event Manager / Attendance Tracker. We're kind of rebranding Attendance Tracker to just calling it Event Manager, because we're trying to position it as more of just an attendance tracker. It's really intended to be the platform for managing all of your programming. So we want all of those events, all of those programs to get into Event Manager, even if you're not going to take attendance, and even if it's not going on to Event Hub. And I think some of the strategy there is to get away from all this back and forth. If we've got all of it coming into Event Manager, then the RASA team can just access it without having to go back and forth with the departments. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thanks, Lewis. I appreciate it.
Phyllis.
Thank you. Hi, I just wanted to look back on the Dr. G request
Yeah.
piece. We'd had a fairly extensive presentation from Ray on how to request Dr. G. And so I guess my question, this is not replacing that, is it?
It is.
Or is it?
It
Okay.
is. Yes. Sorry for any confusion. This is going to replace it, and Ray is actually one of those team members who's going to be able to access this report and get notifications when these requests are submitted.
Okay. So if we are, so a lot of the things that I guess some of the things that my area may be requesting Dr. G for may not even be appropriate for a public event calendar. So will there be a dual process, do you know? And then also we met maybe a month or so ago to request things for the fall, like things that weren't fully formed yet, so may not be on there. So will there be some re-presentation of how to coordinate what we were given in the past with what we're being presented with now?
Yeah, so I do want to recognize it's a little bit funky right now, as I'm sure a lot of you guys have already made efforts towards planning in the fall. And so it's going to be a little bumpy transitioning. So my recommendation would be first to work directly with Ray as we transition to the Event Hub, and just to make sure that no events are falling through the cracks, especially for fall 2026. She's still going to be your best contact for those events. But in terms of requesting events that maybe aren't on the Event Hub, that is a great perspective that we have not considered. So I think it's something I'm going to need to sidebar with Lewis on to make sure that we're offering that ability and then follow up with you guys on that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And all of these kind of maybes, Lewis and I will sidebar on, and then I'll follow up with the group to make sure that it's clear. But my recommendation for fall 2026 events that you've already worked with Ray on is to continue to keep that contact as we're making this transition. But to answer your question, this is going to replace that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah. Jacob?
Hi.
Hello.
So I have a CDI website question, kind of.
Yes.
So if you go to cdi.washu.edu, halfway in the middle of the section, we have a what's happening in CDI that I used to go and pull and put information. But now I don't want to mess that up with Event Hub. So what do I do if I want to feature an event that's coming up?
Great question, and I'm glad you brought this up. I meant to touch on this. So we have the capability to link specific events from the Event Hub. So we are still going to use this web ecosystem, and we still have the ability to feature specific events on your landing page through the Event Hub. So it's going to look a little different in the back end. It's just going to be pulling that URL from let me give you an example. So here's my example event. And then,
So Jacob, essentially you're going to be using the URL from the Event Hub rather than the URL from your specific in website
And
event.
I would just edit it the same way that I did before and just add that URL.
Exactly.
yeah,
Yep. So
Great.
this particular block is still going to be available. The name of it is escaping me. This is like three
Yeah.
featured events or something.
Something
But
like that. Yeah.
yeah, so like this, whatever this is called, sorry, it's escaping me. The three featured events you're still going to be able to utilize on your homepage as a way to call out those specific events. You'll enter those exactly how you always have. You'll edit your homepage. The
Great.
sidebar will be on the right. But that is going to be different than some of those other content blocks on the website.
Yep.
So that is where I just want to clarify, this one is still going to be usable. The other two are going to be disabled at some point because we are not wanting to create events natively through that event content type on the website.
Correct.
So anything that we have that is like a long list, that's going to be replaced with this Event Hub plugin. And what that looks like on the back end is pretty different than what we've been doing. So that's why you guys are just focusing on entering these items like Elizabeth is showing you. And then you can rely on us to kind of edit your events landing page because those blocks will look a little different. So don't panic if there's old-fashioned gobbledygook on it called code. Don't panic. That's there for a reason.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
thanks, Jennifer. And that brings up a great point. As we are implementing this new Event Hub, there will be other things like your website that it's going to touch on. And so, as especially different departments with the different needs, please come to us and we are happy to walk through, meet with your specific department, do an example, walk through it together. Think of me as your support staff for the Event Hub.
Elizabeth, there are a couple questions about resubmitting requests for Dr. G's presence in the chat.
Let me go ahead and clarify with Ray on how she would like to handle the events for fall 2026. And then Lewis, let's sidebar about adding that Dr. G feature for just the event attendance side of it, not just the Event Hub for internal or not public facing Event Hub events. And then I will follow up with this group when I share the recording in a day or two. Are there any other questions for now that I could answer? Okay, well, I will like I said, I'll go ahead and follow up with this recording as well as following up with some of those loose ends that we stumbled upon today. And then, as always, moving forward, myself, Lewis, my team is all here to help you guys. So, as questions come up, please don't hesitate to reach out. And especially, happy to come do a demo for your team or department, work through some of those events. Um,
Elizabeth, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I think we did skip over a portion of Brittany's. I was just rereading to make sure
oh,
we
yep.
we have the question about Woogo, asking if it'll still exist. Um, did we answer that? Sorry.
Yeah,
It will still exist, yeah.
yes, Lewis, I'll let you touch on that.
Yeah, no change to WUGO for the next academic year. So we have an integration. We're pulling all of those WUGO events automatically into Event Hub. So yeah, no changes to WUGO.
So then Campus Life should continue to enter its events into Woogo, not into the Events Hub.
You are correct.
Well, yeah, we might need to talk a little bit about that. I don't know if there's certain situations where some of those events don't go into Event Hub, or I mean, don't go into WUGO. I don't know, but generally speaking, student group events will continue as status quo for WUGO.
And that brings up like some of the complexities, I think, with some of the departments, like a good example is athletics. You guys might we're pulling the games from Sidearm, but if you have a watch party or something, that might be an example of something you're going to want to go through the Event Hub for. So as some of those questions come up, please feel free to tag us in with support. But and to backtrack to that WUGO question, Lewis and I are working with Campus Life to help make sure that we're equipping student leaders and the key components, the key players of WUGO to equip them with the training resources they need as they begin entering events and how that's translated to the Event Hub.
Yeah, I think we kind of need to have a conversation with Campus Life about that. But there very well may be some events facilitated by Campus Life pro staff that they're not really student group events that might go into Event Hub,
Yeah.
not WUGO. But we kind of need to have that conversation.
Okay, well, if there are no additional questions, I am happy to stick on this call if anyone wants to hang back and ask some department-specific questions. But as always, please reach out. I will follow up with this recording and then again to answer some of those questions, especially about Dr. G's attendance.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Happy
Bye.
Thanks,
Monday.
guys.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Yep, thank you, Lewis. Maybe I'll set some time up for us to meet in the next couple days to talk about some of these questions. I think first, I didn't even think about how people are going to want Dr. G at events that maybe like won't be in the Event Hub. Do you have thoughts, or
Right.
do you need to kind of stew on that?
Well, yeah, I think the only option is to move it over to the other tab. Yeah, I think we need to keep the Event Hub tab just for stuff going to Event Hub.
Okay.
So we probably need to move that over.
Okay.
Yeah, if there are like events that aren't going to be promoted on Event Hub that need Dr. G, then we need to move it, I think.
Yeah, and then I'm not sure if you heard this question from Bree Newton about the QR code. I don't know if you caught that.
Oh, I didn't see anything about that.
I think your Wi-Fi might have cut out, but
Yeah.
she said that Bree is in the Spectrum office. She said that she has a lot of events where she uses attendance tracker. She has the QR code. people scan it, but she can't accurately collect that information because you have to have an Outlook account to scan the QR code.
Oh, so does that mean she has visitors coming who are not WashU
It
people?
sounds like it. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a separate version of attendance tracker for visitors. It doesn't work with QR codes. It has to be like a computer kiosk because they have to type in their name and stuff. But I can email her about that.
Okay, that'd be great. Bree Newton.
It was Bree Newton. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll
Okay,
send her a message about that.
awesome. Okay, well, I think that went well.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah.
thanks for being on.
Yeah, thank you for running the show. I think, yeah, I mean, we know there are going to be little things that we hadn't thought of, or little bugs, and we'll work them out as we go.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. You've done like just truly an incredible job. I feel like I have the privilege of getting to present your hard work because people are so excited about it.
I'm more than happy for you to present. You know more about the Marcom side, and it's better for you to do it as long as you don't mind doing it.
I don't mind doing it. I'm happy to help. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks, Lewis. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.